Having thus hedged her very cruel design against the queen, the wretch said, "Wretched, what do you mean by the wretch? Wretch, what do you mean by the wretch? Wretch means WRETCH, wretch. Wretch means very unfortunate and sad person is called wretch. Unfortunate and sad person is called wretch. Sad. Betake yourself to the sulking room, manage the whole affair discreetly and be not too ready to believe. Holding the humpback deer as live, the queen applauded her uncommon shrewdness again and again. "I have no such friend as you in the whole world," she said. "You have served as a prop to one who was drifting along a stream. If God fulfills my heart's desire tomorrow, I will cherish you, my dear, as the apple of my eyes," thus lavishing every terms of endearment of on her maid servant. Kaikeyi retired to the sulking room. Sulking, what do you mean? Discord was the seed, and the servant girl Mantra the rainy season, where the evil mind of the Kaikeyi served as the soil, fed by the water of willingness. The seed took root and sprouted with the two moons as if leaves, and will eventually bear the fruit of adversity. Gathering about her every token of resentment, Kaki lay down on the floor in the sulking room while enjoying sobriety. She was betrayed by her wicked mind. She was betrayed by with his eye. There was a great flutter in the Gynicum as well as the city. Nobody had any inkling of this evil design. In their ecstasy of joy, all the citizens, both men and women, busied themselves with festival preparations, and the entrance of the royal palace was flooded with a continuous stream of the people going in and coming out. Designed at the news, a few of the ShriRama's boy companions called on him in a body, and sensible to their affection, the Lord received them kindly and politely inquired after their health and welfare. After receiving the permission of their beloved friend, they returned home, speaking highly to him to one another. Is there anyone in this world so amiable and constant in his affection as Rama, in whichever species we may be born from time to time as a result of our action? May God grant us that Sita's spouse may be our Lord and we his servants, and that this relation between us may continue till the end. Everyone in the city cherished the same desire, but there was an intense agony in the Kaikeyi's heart, who is not ruined by the evil company. Man loses his wit by following the counsel of the wild men. At eventide, the king joyously visited Kaikeyi's palace. It looked as the love incarnate had called on hostess Perstified. The king was taken aback when he heard of the sulking room. His feet refused to advance on account of fear. He, under whose powerful arm the Lord of Celestia dwelt secure, and whose goodwill was even sought by all king, was stunned at the news of his wife's anger. Look at the mighty power of the sexual love. Even those who have endured the blow of a spear, thunderbolt, or sword have been overcome with the flower shaft of the Rati's Lord, the god of love. The king timidly approached his beloved queen and was terribly distressed to perceive her conditions. She was lying on the floor in old and the chorus attire, having cast away all the ornaments of her person. Her rest grabbed on inevitably befitted her, prognosticating as it were her impending widowhood. Drawing close to her, the king asked in soft accents, "Why are you angry, my soul's delight?" And the king touches her with his hand, saying, "Why are you angry, my queen?" Kaikeyi threw it aside and flashed upon him a furious glance like a emerged serpent, with the two above mentions craving of her heart for its bifurcated tongue and the boons that had been promised to her by the king for its fangs, spying out a vital part. As fate would have it, says Tulsi, the king took it all as the amorous sport. Amorous. What do you mean by the amorous? Amorous. Amorous. What do you mean by the amorous? Sport. What do you mean by the sport? Sport means what do you mean by the sport? Sport. Sport means what do you mean by the sport? Sport. Sport. Sport means sport. Sport means sports. Sports means sports. Sports means an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or other for the entertainment is called the sports. An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team compete against another or other for the entertainment is called the sports. An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or other for the entertainment. A person who behaves in a good or specific way in response of teasing is called sports. A person who behaves in good or specified way in response of teasing is called sports. A person a person who behaves in good or specific way in response for teasing, defeat, or similarly trying situation is called the sports. So for the Feng, as the king touched her with his hand, saying, "Why are you angry, my queen?" Keke threw aside and flashed upon him a furious glance like a inert serpent, with the two above mentioned craving of her heart, of its bifurcated tongues, and the boons that had promised to her by the king for its fang spying a amorous sports. Fangs means what do you mean by the fangs? What do you mean by the fangs? Fang means what do you mean by the fangs? Fang means fangs. Fang means fangs. Fang means a large sharp tooth, especially a canine tooth or dog or wolf. Fangs. That is called the fangs. Fangs. Furious glance like a emerged serpent, with the two above mentioned craving of her heart for its bifurcated tongues, bifurcated heart of its bifurcated means what do you mean by the bifurcated? Bifurcated. Bifurcated means what do you mean by the bifurcated? Bifurcated means vibhajit. Bifurcated means divide into two branches or fork is called the bifurcated. Divide into two branches or fork is called the bifurcated. Divide into two branches or fork is called the bifurcated. Divide into two branches or fork is called the bifurcated. Bifurcated tongue. Bifurcated. Divide into two parts is called the bifurcated. Two craving of her heart. A furious glance. Why are you angry, my queen? Keke threw it inside and flashes upon his furious glance like an inert serpent, with an inert serpent, the two above mentioned craving of her heart, of its bifurcated tongue, and the boon that had been promised to her by the king of its fangs, spying on the vital fangs. What fangs means? Fangs. Fangs. Fangs means what do you mean by the fangs? Fangs. Fangs means what do you mean by the fangs? Fangs means what do you mean by fangs? Fangs means fangs. Fangs means fangs. Fangs means a large sharp tooth, especially a canine tooth or dog of war. Fangs, that is called the fangs. So bifurcated tongues and the boons that had been promised for its fangs, spying on the vital part. A fate would have it, says Tulsi, the king took it all the amorous as an amorous sport. The king took it as an amorous sport. Said the king again and again, "Tell me the cause of your anger, O fair-faced, bright-eyed dame." with a voice melodious as the notes of the cuckoo, and the gait resembling that of an elephant. And gait resembling, gait means G-A-I-T, gait means resembling, gait resembling an elephant. Gait means a person's manner of walking is called the gait. A person's manner of walking is called the gait. A person's manner of walking is called the gait, and the gait resembling that of an elephant. Resembling, gait resembling means as an elephant. Resembling means resembling. Resembling means resembling. Greener or present participle of resembling have a similar appearance to a qualities in common with. Look or seem like is called the resembling. Look or seems 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 right is called the resembling. Said the king again, tell me the cause of your anger, fair faced, bright eyed dame, with a voice melodious as a note of cookie, and gait resembling the gait, G-A-I-T, gait, cuckoo, and the gait, G-A-I-T, an elephant, gait, G-A-I-T, gait means, what do you mean by the gait, G-A-I-T, gait, gait means G-A-I-T, gait means a person's manner of walking. A person's manner of walking is called the gait, resembling that of an elephant. Gait resembling that of an elephant. Gait resembling as in gait resembling that of an elephant. Gait resembling a notes, melodious as note. A fair-faced eye, bright-eyed dame with a voice melodious as the notes of the cuckoo, and the gait resembling that of an elephant. Who is it, my dear, that has harmed you? Who is there with a head to spare, and who is it that is courted by death? Tell me what pauper I should exalt to the position of a king, and what monarch I should banish from his kingdom. What monarch I should banish from his kingdom? I could slay even as immortals, were he your enemy, or what account then a man and woman who are mere worms as it were. You know my disposition, O beautiful lady. My mind is enormous of your face, as the cobra birds is of its moon. O my beloved, my people and my family, and all that I possess, my sons, nay, my life itself are all your disposal. Are all your disposal. Disposal means, what do you mean by the disposal? Disposal means, what do you mean by the disposal? Disposal means the action or process of getting rid of something is called disposal. The action or process of getting rid of something. The sale of shared property or other asset is called the disposal. The sale of shared property or other asset is called the disposal. So, beautiful lady, my mind is around of your face as the chakora birds to the moon. I could slay even as immortals, were he your enemy, or what account then are man and woman who are mere worm as it were. You know my dispositions. You know my disposition. Dispositions means, what do you mean by the dispositions? Dispositions means disposition. Disposition means disposition. Disposition means swabhav. That is called a person's inherent quality or mind and character is called the dispositions. A person's inherent qualities of mind and character is called the dispositions. A person's inherent qualities of mind and character, the way in which something is placed or arranged, especially in relation to other things, is called the dispositions. The way in which something is placed or arranged, especially in relation to other things, is called the dispositions. I could slay even as immortals, were he your enemy, or what account then there may be the man or woman who are were warm as it were. You know my who are were warm as it were, who are were warm as it were. You know my disposition, O beautiful lady. My mind is enormous of your face, as the chakora bird is of the moon. O my beloved, my people and my family, and all that I possess, my sons, nay, my life itself are all at your disposals. If I tell you anything insincerely, O good lady, I should be guilty of falsely swearing by Rama 100 times. Ask with a cheerful countenance whatever pleases your mind, and adorn your charming limbs with jewels. Distinguish with yourselves between an opportunate and inopportunate hour, and give up, my darling, this becoming attire at once, and give up, my darling, this unbecoming attire at once. On hearing this and considering the great oath, the dull-witted Kakai smilingly arose and began to put on her ornaments. It seemed as if a huntress was lying to trap at the sight of the deer. Thinking her reconciled, the king spoke again in soft and the winning accent, his whole frame thrilling over with emotions. Your heart desire, O good lady, is accomplished. Your heart desire, O good lady, is accomplished. Your heart desire, a good lady, will accomplish. Every house in the city is picture of joy and felicity. Felicity, joy and felicity, felicity, joy and felicity. Felicity means, what do you mean by felicity? Felicity, felicity, felicity. Felicity means felicity. Joy and felicity. Felicity means intense happiness. The ability to find appropriate expression for one thought is called the felicity. The ability to find appropriate expression for one's thought is called the felicity. The ability to find appropriate expression for one's thought is called the felicity. The ability to find appropriate expression for the one thought is called the felicity. The ability to find appropriate expression for one thought is called the felicity. The ability to find appropriate expression for one's thought is called the felicity. The ability to find appropriate expression for the one's thought is called the felicity. The ability to find appropriate expression for the one thought is called the felicity. Tomorrow I am, oh good lady, is accomplished. Every house in the city is picture of joy and felicity. Expression thought is called the felicity. Tomorrow I am installing Rama as a prince regent. Therefore, O bright-eyed dame, put on festive grave. O bright-eyed dame, put on a festive grave. O bright-eyed dame, put on the festive grave. The queen's hard throw it was cracked at these words. It seemed as if the abscesses quite ripe, hand-worthy touches had been unvaryingly touched. Even such heart-rending agony was disguised by her under the cloak of a smile. Just as a thief's wife does not openly weep on seeing her husband suffer punishment, lest she should be made to share his lot, the king was unable to detect her witty designs, tutored as she was by the teachers Mantra, who ranked foremost among millions of villains. Although the king was skilled in statesmanship, the way of women are like an unfathomable ocean. Again, with a great show of false affection, she smilingly said with a graceful movement of her face and eyes, "You do repeat the word ask, but never actually give anything. You promised me a couple of spoons, but I am doubtful about their implementation." "I have now understood the whole mystery," said the king with a smile. "You are extremely fond of being angry. You keep the boon in reserve and never ask for them. As for myself, I forgot all about them. Being oblivious by nature, pray do not level a false charge against me. You might as well as ask 4 boons instead of 2. It has always been the rule with the race of Raghu that one's plighted words may be redeemed even as the cost of one life. Even as a multitude of sins cannot be matched with a lie, can millions of tiny gunja seeds ever stand comparison with the mountain? Veracity is the root of all noble virtue." Veracity. What do you mean by veracity? Veracity means, what do you mean by the veracity? Veracity means, what do you mean by the veracity? Veracity means veracity. Veracity means veracity. Veracity means satyata. Veracity, conformity to facts, accuracy. Veracity, Habitual truthfulness, accuracy. Habitual truthfulness is called the veracity. Habitual truthfulness is called the veracity. Veracity, habitual truthfulness is called the veracity is the root of all noble virtue. Veracity is the root of all noble virtues, as is well known in the Vedas and Puranas, as has been declared by Manu, the first lawgiver of the world, the author of the Manu Smriti. Over and above this, I have unwittingly sworn by Rama, the Lord of Raghu. He is a very perfection of virtue and the highest embodiment of the affection. Having thus bound him to his word, the evil minded queen smilingly said, removing as it were the cap from the eyes of her hawk like plot. The king's desires to see Rama installed as the prince regents of the Ayodhya represent a lovely grove, and the joy that prevails everywhere stood for the host of the charming birds. Queen Kaikeyi, who resembles a Bila woman, sought to release a feroz falcon in the form of her piercing word. Pause 13 for the 30 days recitation. Shri Ram, 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 Shri Ram. Shri Ram, Shri Ram, 394. Shri Ram, 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 Shri Ram. Ati ananto umagi anuraga charan saroj parakharan laga. Descends to Ayodhya Kanda. This is May he is who lips shines from the daughter of the mountain king, who carries the celestial stream on his head, on whom brow rests the crescent moon, whose throat holds poison, and whose breast is the support of the huge serpents, and who is adorned by the ashes of his body. May the chief of gods, the lord of all, the destroyer of the universe, the omnipresent Shiva, the moon like Shankara, ever protect me. May the splendor of the Sri Rama lotus like face, which neither grew brighter at the prospect of his being installed on the throne of Ayodhya, nor was dimmed by the painful experience of exile in the wood, even bring sweet felicity to me. Sweet felicity to me. I adore Sri Rama, the Lord of Raghu, sweet felicity to me. I adore Sri Rama, the Lord of Raghu race, whose limbs are dark and soft as a blue lotus, who has Sita enthroned on his left side, and whose hold in his hand a mighty arrow and the graceful bow. Cleansing the mirror of my mind with the dust from the lotus feet of the reversed Guru, I sing Sri Rama's untarnished glory that bestow the four rewards of the human life. From the day Sri Rama returns home dully married, there was a new festivity and jubilant music every day. The 14 spheres were like huge mountains on which clouds in the shape of meritorious deed poured shower of the word joy. From the day of Sri Ram returned home dully married, there was a new festivity and the jubilant music every day. The 14 spheres were like huge mountains on which clouds in the shape of meritorious deeds poured shower of joy. The water thus discharge formed into the gorgeous rivers of the affluences, success, and prosperity that rose in the spat and flowed into the ocean of the Ayodhya. The men and women of the city were like jewels of the fine quality, bright, peerless, and charming in every way. The splendor of the capital was beyond description. It seemed as if the creator workmanship had been exhausted there. Gazing on the moon-like face of the Sri Ramachandra, the citizens were all happy in every way. All the mothers with the companions and maids were delighted to see the creepers on their heart desired bear fruit. The king was particularly enraptured when he saw or heard of the Sri Rama's beauty, goodness, amiability, and a genial disposition. All cherished in this heart a common desires and said in their prayers to the great Lord Shiva, would that the king in his own lifetime appointed Sri Rama as his regents. Own lifetime appointed Sri Rama as his regents. One day the chief of Raghu sat with his court in his state assembly hall, himself the embodiment of virtue. The king was overjoyed to hear the Sri Rama's fair renown. Every monarch solicited his favors, and every guardian of the world cultivated his friendship while respecting his wishes. In all the three spheres of the universe and in all the time past, present, and future, none could be found so abundantly blessed as Dasharatha, of him who had for his son Rama the root of all bliss. Whatever might be said would fall short of the truth. The king casually took a mirror in his hands and, looking at his face in the mirror, set his crown straight. The hair beside his ear has turned grey. It seemed as of his old age were whispering into the ears. O king, made Rama your regents and thereby realize the object of your life and birth in this world. Entertaining the idea in his mind and the finding an auspicious day and the suitable opportunity, the king communicated it to his guru Vashishta, with his body thrilling over with emotions and his mind filled with rapture. Said the king, listen, O chief of the Sikhs, Rama is now accomplished in every way. Servants and ministers, nay, all the people of the city and others who are either my enemies or friends or neutrals, hold Rama as dear as I do. It seems your benedictions itself has incarnate in his lovely forms. What more, my lord, all the Brahmins and their families cherish the same love for him as you do. Those who place on their head their dust from the Guru's feet acquire mastery, as it were, over all fortune. No one has realized it as I have done. I have obtained everything by adoring the holy dust from your feet. Now there remains only one longing in my heart, and that too will be realized by your grace, my lord. The Sheikh was delighted to perceive his artless devotions and said, O king, give me your command. O king, your very name and the glory grant all one's desires. The object of your heart desires, O jewel of monarchs, is accomplished even before you entertain the desire. When the king was assured in his heart of the Guru's being favorably disposed in every way, he cheerfully said in gentle tone, my lord, let Rama be invested with the regal power. Pray command me so that the necessary preparation may be set on the foot. Let this happy event take place during my lifetime, so that all people may attain the reward of their eyesight. By the Lord blessing, Shiva has allowed everything to pass smoothly. This is the only longing that I have in my mind. Then I will not mind whether his body survive or not, so that I may not have to repeat afterwards. The Sheikh was pleased to hear these agreeable words of the Dasharatha, which were the very fountain of the felicity and joy. He said, listen, O king, aversion of the Sri Ramas make one's repent, while his adoration in his only means of the soothing the agonies of the one's heart. Nay, he follow like a shadow where there is an unadulterated love. The same Lord Rama has been born as a son to you. O king, let there be no delay, and make every preparations quickly. That day itself is auspicious and full of blessings when Rama is proclaimed regent. ShriRam. The king returned rejoicing to his palace and summoned his servants and counselors, including Sumatra. They bowed their heads, saying, victory to you, may your life long. And the king placed before them the most auspicious proposal. If this proposal find favor with you all, install Sri Rama on the throne with a cheerful heart. The counselors were glad to hear these agreeable words, which fell into the shower of the young plant of his desires. The minister prayed with the joint palm, may you continue to live for the millions of your sovereign of the world. You have thought out a good plan, which is the source of happiness to the whole world. Therefore, Lord, make haste and lost no time. The king was pleased to hear the encouraging words of the minister. It looked as if the growing creepers had obtained the support of the strong bot. Said the king, whatever orders of the great Sikh Vashishta may be pleased to give in connection with the Sri Rama's coronation should be promptly carried out. Great Sikh Vashishta gladly said in the soft accent, fetch water from the all principal sacred place, and then he announced by the name a number of auspicious objects such as the herb, roots, flowers, fruits, leaves, chauris, deerskins, and draperies of the various kinds, including countless varieties of the woolen and the silken textile, jewels, and the numerous other articles of the good women which were considered useful in this world for the coronation of the king. Detailing all the procedure laid down in the Vedas, he said, erect a canopy of the all sort in the city and transplant in the street of the all sides trees of the mango, arecanut, and the plantain with the fruits. Paint beautifully designs of the floor filling from the costly jewels and tell the people to decorate the bazaars promptly. Worship Lord Ganesha and your preceptor as well as the tutelary deity and the render service in every form of the Brahmans, the very god of the earth. Prepare flags and the banners, festal arches and the vases, as well as the horses, carrots, and the elephants. Going these orders of the great sages Vishwamitra, all concerned elephant applied themselves to their own work. With whatever duty the great sage charged any man, the latter accomplished it to the promptly as if it had been done by the him before had. The king adored Brahmans, holy men, and the gods, and performed auspicious rites to the sake of the ShriRama's welfare. As soon as the delightful news of the ShriRama installation reached the ears of the people, the whole of the Ayodhya resounded with the festal music. Good omens manifested themselves in the person of the ShriRama and Sita. The graceful, lucky limbs began to thump, experience a thrill of joy. They lovingly said to one another, the omens prognostics Bharata's returns. Many days have passed, and our heart longs to meet him. Auspicious omens assured as of our meeting with the beloved friends, and in this verse there is no one so dear as Bharata. The good omens can then thus have one but one meaning. Sri Rama anxiously remembered his half brothers Bharata day and night, even as a turtle has its heart fixed on its sex. That very time the ladies of the place were delighted to hear this most auspicious news, even as the waves of the ocean commenced their lovely sports on perceiving the waxing moon. Those who broke the news first were richly rewarded with the ornaments and the costume, with their body thrilling over with emotions and the heart full of raptures. All the queen started preparing their festal dresses. Queen Sumitra painted with colored meal, lovely diagrams in the various charming designs and filled with their gems. Overwhelmed with the delight of Sri Rama's mothers, Kaushalya sent for the Brahmans and they gave their gifts profusely. She worshipped female deities at the village and other gods and nagas and warming them further offering said to them, is your mercy grant me a boon which may ensure Sri Rama's welfare. Moon faced and the fawn-eyed ladies sang festal strain in the voice as sweet as the note of the cuckoo. Man and the woman rejoiced in their heart to hear of Sri Rama's installation on the thrones, and thinking God to be the favorably disposed towards them, all began to make preparations. The king then called Vashishta and sent him to the Sri Rama's apartment for tendering opportunate advice. The moment the Lord of Raghu Sri Rama heard of the Guru's arrival, he replied to the doors and bowed his head at his feet, reverently offering him water to wash his hands with his untouched the sages and paid him honor by worshipping him the 16 prescribed modes, Thus clasping his feet with Sita, Sri Rama spoke with his lotus palm joined. A master visit is to the servant's house is the root of all blessings and the penance for all evil. Yet it would have been more fitting, my lord, for the master to have lovingly sent for the servant and charged him with a duty for such in the right courses. However, my lord has laid aside his authority and showered his affection to me by calling on me. My house has been hallowed today. I am ready to do what I am bid, holy sirs, for the servant is benefited by serving his master. On hearing these words, steeped in affection as they were, the sage applauded the chief of Raghu Sri Rama and said, it is but meet, O Sri Rama, that you should say so, the ornaments of the solar rays that you are. Ram Shri Ram Shri. Extolling the Sri Rama's goodness, amiability, and the noble position, the Lord of Sikh Vashishta said, thrilling over with emotion, the king has made preparation for the installation ceremony. He will invest you with the regal power. Rama, you should observe religious austerity today so that the God may bring their affair to the happy conclusions. Having admonished him in this way, the Guru returned to the king. Sri Rama felt uneasy in his heart and said to himself, my brothers and myself are all born together, and together have we dined instruments played in our childhood. The piercing of our earlobes, one of the 16 sacraments incumbent on the Hindu. Our investitures with the sacred thread, wedding, and all other ceremonies have been gone through together. The only unseemly pictures in the spotless line in that eldest should be installed on the throne of the execution of his younger brothers. May this loving and the graceful expression of great regret on the part of the Lord drive away all crookedness from the mind of his servant, of his devotee. On that very occasion came Lakshmana, steeped in love and rapture. ShriRama, who delighted Raghuresh even as a moon delight a little lily flower, greeted him with endearing words. On the very occasion came Lakshmana, steeped in love and rapture. ShriRama, who delighted Raghuresh even as a moon, very occasion came steeped in love and rapture. Moon delighted lily greeted him with endearing words. There was a sound of music of the various kind, and the rejoicing in the city was beyond description. All prayed to the Bharta's return from the maternal uncle, and said to one another, "Would that Bharta came with expeditions and obtained the reward of his eyes." In every bazaar, street, house, lane, and the place of the resort, men and women talk to one another. When will that blessed hour start tomorrow, during which the God will fulfill our desires? When with Sita's besides him, ShriRama will take his seats on the thrones of the gold, and when the objects of our desire will be accomplished. They all said, "When will the morrow come?" While the wicked gods prayed that some trouble might brew. In the meantime, the rejoicing that was going on the Ayodhya did not please them, even as the moonlight and night is not liked by a thief. Invoking Sharda, the god supplicated her, and laying hold on her, field fell at them again and again. The rejoicing that was going to Ayodhya did not please them, even as a moonlit night is not liked by the thief. Invoking Sharda, the god supplicated her, and laying hold on her, feet fell at them again and again. Perceive our grave calamity, O mother. Manipulate things in such way today that ShriRama may retire into the forest, relinquishing his throne, and the object of us immortals may be wholly accomplished. Hearing this prayer of the divinity, goddess Sharda stood still and was grieved at the thought that she was going to play the same role with reference to the people of the Ayodhya as a wintry night does with respect of the bad lotuses. Seeing her downcast, the god spoke again in the suppliant tone, "Mother, not the least blame will attract to you. As for the Lord of Raghu is above sorrow and the joy alike. You are fully acquainted with Sri Rama's glory. As for the people, every embodied soul is subject to the pleasure and pain according to its fates. Therefore, you should go to the Ayodhya for the good of the celestials." Clasping her feet again and again, they exerted great pleasure on her till she yielded and set out considering the gods as mean-minded. She said to herself, "Though their abode is on high, their doing are mean. They cannot see others' prosperity." Again reflecting on the role she was destined to perform in the days to come, when worthy poet would seek her favor, she came with cheerful heart to the capital of Dasharatha, like the intolerable evil influence of the palace. Now Kaikeyi's Bharta's mother, as a dull-witted servant maid Manthara, ShriRam, 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 ShriRam. Hearing the prayer of the divinity, goddess Sharda stood still and was grieved at the thought that she was going to play the same role in reference to the people of the wintry sea does with the respect of bad lords. Seeing her downcast, the god spoke again in a suppliant, "Mother, not the last blame is attached to you, for the Lord of Raghu is above sorrow and joy alike. You are fully acquainted with the Sri Rama's glory. As for the people, every embodied soul is subject to the pleasure and pain according to its fates. Therefore, you should go to the Ayodhya and God for the celestial." Clasping her feet again and again, they exerted great pressure on her till she yielded and set out considering the god as a mean-minded. She said to herself, "Though their abode is high, their doing is means. They cannot see others' prosperity." Again reflecting on the role she was destined to perform the day of the came, when worthy poet could seek her favor, she came with a cheerful heart to the capital of the Dasharatha, like the intolerable evil influence of the planet. Now Kaikeyi, Bharta's mother, had a dull-witted servant maid, Manthara by the name, having perverted to reasons and making her respectable of the ill repute, the goddess of speech returned to her abode. Mantra saw the city decorated and festal music melodiously playing. She therefore asked the people, "What is all the rejoicing about?" When she heard the ShriRama's coming installation, she felt distress in her heart. The evil-minded and the low-born woman pondered how mischief might be created overnight. Here is a village woman who has seen a honeycomb hanging from the tree, scheme how to get hold of the honey. Pulling a long face, she approached Bharata's mother. "What make you look so grave?" The queen smilingly asked. She made no answer, but only have deep sigh and adopting the way of the woman. Said crocodile, yes, said the queen laughing. You are the most saucy girls that I suspect. Therefore is the Lakshmana has taught you the lesson. Even then the most wicked servant maid would not speak and merely hissed like a black cobra. Apprehensive of the misfortune as she was, the queen said to her, "How is it that you do not speak? I hope Rama and his royal father Lakshmana, Bharata, and the Ripusurna Shatrugna are all well." The hump-backed woman Mantra was pained at heart to hear these words. Why should anyone, O mother, give me lessons? And one would strength shall be I be Chigi, who is happy today. Expect Rama, who is the king is going to invest with regal powers. Providence has turned most favorable to the Kaushalya. Seeing this, she cannot contain the pride of her bosoms. Why not go and see for yourself all the splendor, the sight of which he agitated my mind. Your son is away while you are complacent under the notice that your lord is under your thumb. You are excessively fond of the sleeping of the cushion's beds and are unable to detect the deceitful cunning of the king. Hearing these affectionate words, yet knowing her malicious mind, the queen angrily said, "Keep quiet now. If you were ever speak thus again, expert as you are the sowing seed of the discord in the family, I will have your tongue pulled out." The one-eyed and the lame and the humpback know these to be the perishers and wicked more. So if they came to the women folks, and particularly those belonging to the menial class, said Bharata's mother and smiled. "O sweet tongues one, I have said all this to you by way of the advice, otherwise I cannot even dream of being angry with you. That day alone will be the auspicious and bestower of the good fortune, when your words will come to be true. The eldest brother should be the lord, and the younger one his servants. Such is the blessed custom prevailing in the solar race. If Sri Rama's coronation is really taking place tomorrow, ask of me, my friend, what pleases your mind, I will grant it. By this innate disposition, Rama's love all his mothers are dearly as Kaushalya. He is particularly fond of me. I have had occasion to test his love. Should God in his mercy vouchsafe to me a human birth again, may Rama and Sita be my sons and daughter-in-law respectively. Rama is dearest to me than life. How is it that you have got perturbed at the news of this coronation? I adjure you to the Bharata's name to tell me the truth, pulling away all deceits and reservation. Let me know the reason why you should grieve on the occasion of the rejoicing. I have had all your ambitions fulfilled as a result of my speaking only once. I shall now speak again with another tongue. My wretched head surely deserves to be smashed, since you got offended even at my well-meaning words. Those alone who speaks uncourteous words, minding not what is true and what is false, are your favorite. While I am disagreeable to you from this day onwards, I too will utter only that which is palatable to my mistress, or else will keep mum all the 24 hours. Go, God has given me a misshapen body to make me dependent on others. One must reap as one had sown, as must get what once have given. Whoever may be the ruler, I lost nothing thereby, for shall I cease to be the servant and become a queen now? The damnable is my nature, is that I cannot bear to see harms come to you. That is why I just broached the topic, but it was a great blunder on my part. Therefore, pardon me, O venerable Devi. Hearing these pregnant and the agreeable, deceitful words, the queen, who was the woman with the unstable mind and was dominated by the celestial Maya, responded her way in the enemy, mistaking her for a friend. Again and again, the queen politely cautions Mantra, hypnotized as she was by the latter's glorious word, like a doe fascinated by the music of the Bhula woman. Her mind was changed according to the decree of the fate, and the servant maid was pleased to find her plan succeeded. She replied, "While you persist in questioning me, I am afraid to open my lips, since you have given me the name of the feud creator in the family, thus working up the queen's faith and manipulating her according to her own liking in every way. Mantra, who splat disaster for Ayodhya like the evil influence exerted by the planet Saturn for the period of 7.5 years, according to the Indian astrology. Then spoke, you said just now, Queen, that Sita and Rama were dearer to you and that you had entered yourself to Rama. This assertion of yours is true. This is, however, a thing of the past. Those days have now gone. When the tide turns, even friends become foes. The sun forced the family of the lotuses, but the absence of the water, it burns them to the oceans. So your co-wife Kaushalya, who strikes at your very root, protected by the means of the good fence in the form of the remedy, you are free from the anxiety on the strength of your husband's loves, and know him to be the under your sway. The king, however, is malicious mind, through sweet of the tongue, while you possess a glueless nature. Rama's mother Kaushalya is clever and deep. Finding a suitable opportunity, she had turned into account. You must know it is the suggestion of the Sri Rama's mother that the king has sent away Bharata as to the maternal grandfather. She says to him herself, "All my other co-wives serves me well. Only Bharata's mother herself is proud because of her influence with her lord. It is the therefore, O mother, that you rankle the Kaushalya's heart, but she is too crafty to discourse her mind. The king is particularly fond of you, but due to the jealousy to which a co-wife is natured to speak subject, Kaushalya cannot tolerate it. That is why, by resorting to the machinations and winning over the king, she has prevailed on him to fix a date of the Rama's installation on the throne. The coronation of Rama is accord with the tradition of the family. It is likely liked by all and is quite to my taste. I, however, shudder to think of the consequences may have one so ordinate that the mischief may recoil on her own head. Investing and rejecting many a mischievous formula, Mantra put the queen of the scent and told her 101 stories of the co-wife, so as the foment had jealousy. As the fate would have it, the queen felt assured in his heart of the Mantra's fidelity. Adjuring her by her own life, she cautions Mantra once more. What is it that you inquire about? It is strange that you should not understand things even now. Even as a quarterback knows that the good and bad for it. Preparation has been going on for the last fortnight while you have got the news from me today. I get food and the clothing under your tail, hence I cannot be blamed for speaking the truth. If I tell lie, giving it is the color of the truth, God will punish me for the same. Should Rama coronation take place tomorrow, God will have sown the seed of the adversity for you. I swear and tell you most emphatically, O lady, that you have been discarded now as a fly from the cup of milk. If you, your son, accept the role of servant, then alone you will be allowed to stay in the house, and is no other circumstances. Kardu, the protagonist of the serpent race, presegated her co-wife Vienna coronations. So will Kaushalya tyrannize over you. Bharata will rode in present, and the Lakshmana will be the Rama's in Lyude tent. Hearing this unpleasantness remark, Kaikeya's daughter shriveled with the fear and could not utter a word. Her body was weight with the perspiration and shook like a planet stalk. The humpback then bit her tongues for fear last of the gloomy picture drawn by her might break Kaushalya's heart, telling her once more, one after another, many a story of the while Mantra comforted the queens and asked her to be the good cheer. At last the tide turns and Kaikeyi conceives the fondness of the mischief. She applauded the herons, mistaking it to the swan. Listen, O Mantra, what you say is quite true. My right eye even throbs, and I have an evil dream every night. But in my folly, I did not tell you. I cannot help it, my friend. I am so clueless by nature. I cannot distinguish the friend from the foe. Never to this day, have I done an evil turn to anybody during my ascendancy. I wonder for what offense has Providence subject to me as a terrible suffering all at once. I would fain go and spend the rest of my life at my father's, but would on no account serve as a co-wife so long as there is life in me. For him whom heaven allows so survive as a dependence of the enemy, death is preferable. As I, the queen uttered many such words of the despondency. At this the humpbacks resorted in willy ways of the woman. Why should you speak in restraint? Do not lose heart. Your happiness and the good luck will be ever on the increase. Whoever has contemplated such gross mischief to you shall eventually reap the wood. Ever since I heard of this plot, my lady, I have felt no appetite during the day and have had no wink in the sleep at the night. I consulted the astrologers and they declared positive terms Bharata shall be the king. This much is certain. If you act upon it, O good lady, I will offer a suggestion to you. The king is under oblation to you. At your suggestion, I would throw myself down and well as can have forsake my son and husband. When you tell me to do something in view of my dire distress, why should I not comply with it in my own interest? When she made Kakai's and threatening her on the offering accepted for the sacrifice, the humbug whetted the knife of the trickery on the stone of her heart. The queen, however, like a sacrificial beast who nipped the green turf, did not foresee the impending calamity. Agreeable to hear, yet painful in consequences were the words she spoke. It seemed as she was administering honey mixed with the poison, said the maid servant. Do you or do you not remember the incidents you once told me, my lady? You have in reserve with the king a couple of boons that he once promised you. Ask for them in today and soothe your heart, bestow sovereignty on your sons, and the abode in the forest of Rama, and robe your co-wives of all this joy. When the king swears by the Rama, ask the boons only when so that the former may not go back upon the words. The scheme will fail if the night of the allow to pass. Cherish my words as dearest. Then, having thus hatched her every cruel design against the queen, the wretch said, betake yourself in a sulking room, manage the whole affair discreetly, and do not ready to believe. Holding the humbug dear as life, the queen applauded her uncommon shrewdness again and again. I have no such friend as you in the whole world, she said. You have served as a prop to ones who are drifting along a stream. If God fulfill my heart desires tomorrow, I will cherish you, my dear, as a apple of my eyes. Thus lavishing every terms of the endearments of her maid servant, Kakai retired to the sulking. His discord was the seed, and the servant girl Mantra was the rainy season, while the evil mind of the Kakai served as the soil. Fed by the water of willingness, the seed took root and sprouted with the two boons as its leaves, and will eventually bear the fruit of the adversity. Gathering about her every token of resentment, Kakai lay down on the floor in the sulking room while enjoying sovereignty. She was betrayed by her wicked mind. There was a great flutter in the Gynecum as well as the city. Nobody had any inkling of his evil designs. In their ecstasy of joy, all the citizens, both men and the women, busied themselves with the festival preparations, and the entrance to the royal palace was flooded with a continuous stream of the people going and coming out. Delighted at the news, a few of the ShriRama's boy companions called on him in a body, and sensible of their affection, the Lord receives them kindly and politely inquired after their health and welfare. After receiving the permission of his beloved friend, they returned home speaking highly to him one another. Is there anyone in this world so amiable and constant in his affection as Rama? In whichever species we may be born from time to time as a result of our action, may God grant us with Sita's spouse, may be our Lord, and we his servants, and that his relation between us may continue till the end. Everyone in the city cherished the same desire, but there was an intense agony in the Kakai's heart, who is not tuned by the evil company. Man loses his wit by the following the counsel of the wild man. At eventide, the king joyously visited Kakai's palace. It looked as if love incarnate had called on the harshness personified. The king was taken aback when he heard of the sulking room. His feet refused to advance to account of the fear. He under whose powerful arm the Lord of Celestial dwelt secure, and whose goodwill was even sought by the king, was stunned in the news of his wife's anger. Look at the mighty power of the sexual love. Even those who have endured the blows of the spear, thunderbolt of sword has been overcome with the flourish of the Rati's Lord, the god of love. The king timidly approaches his beloved queen, and was terrible distress of perceiving her condition. She was lying on the floor in the old and the chorus attire, having cast away all the ornaments of her person. Her rash grab so eminently befitted her, prognosticating as it were her impending widowhood. Drawing close to her, the king asked in soft accent, why are you angry, my soul's delight? As the king touched her with the hand, saying, why are you angry, my queen? Kakai threw it aside and flashed upon him furious glance like a inert serpent, with the two above mentioned craving of her heart for the beautified tongues and the boons that had been promised to her by the king for its fangs spying out a vital part as a fate would have it. Say Tulsi, the king took it all as a amorous sport. Said the king again and again, tell me the cause of your anger, O fair-faced, bright-eyed dame, with a voice melodious as the note of the cuckoo and the gait resembling that of an elephant. Who is it, my dear, that has harmed you? Who is there with the head to his swears, and who is it that the coated with the that? Tell me what pauper I should exalt to the position of a king, and what monarch I should banish from his kingdom. I could slay even his immortals, were he your enemy, or what account then are men and women who are mere worms, as it were. You know my disposition, O beautiful lady. My mind is enamored of your face, as the chakora bird is or the moon. O my beloved, my people and my family and all that I possess, my sons, nay, my life itself are all your disposal. If I tell you anything insincerely, O good lady, I should be guilty of falsely swearing by Rama's 100 times. Ask with a cheerful countenance whatever pleases your mind, and adorn your charming limbs with jewels. Distinguish yourself between a opportune and an inopportune hours, and give up, my darling, this unbecoming attire at once. On hearing this and considering the great oath, the dull-witted Kaikeyi smilingly arose and began to put on her ornaments. It seemed as if the huntress was laying the trap of the sight of the deer. Tinkling her reconciled, the king spoke again in the soft and winning accent. The whole frame was thrilling over with emotion. Your heart desire, O good lady, is accomplished. Every house in the city is picture of joy and felicity. Tomorrow I am installing Rama as a prince regent. Therefore, O bright-eyed dame, put on a festive grave. The queen's heart hard though it was cracked at these words. It seemed as if absence quite ripe, windy touch and when unwarily touched. Even such heart-rending agony was discussed by her under the cloak of the smile, just as a thief wife does not openly weep on seeing his husband suffer punishment, last he should be made to share his lots. The king was unable to detect her wily designs, tutored as she was by the teacher Mantra, who rankled foremost among millions of villains. Although the king was skilled in statesmanship, the ways of women are alike an unfathomable ocean. Again, with the greater slow show of false affection, she smilingly said with a graceful movement of her face and eyes, you do not repeat the word ask, but never actually give anything. You promised me a couple of boons, but I am yet doubtful about their implementation. I have now understood the whole mystery, said the king with a smile. You are extremely fond of being angry. You keep the boons in reverse and never ask for them. As for myself, I forgot all about them, being oblivious by the nature. Pray do not level a false charge against me. You might as well as ask for the boon instead of two. It has always been the rule with the race of the Raghu that one's plighted words must be redeemed even at the cost of one's life. Even a multitudes of sins cannot be matched with a lie. Can millions of tiny gunja seeds ever stand compromise with the mountain? Veracity is the root of noble virtue, as well known in the Vedas and Puranas, and has declared by the Manu, the first law giver of the word, the author of the Manusmriti. Over and above this, I have unwittingly sworn by Rama, the Lord of Raghu, who is the very perfection of virtue and the highest embodiment of the affection. Having thus bound him these words, the evil-minded queen smilingly said, removing as it were the cap from the eyes of the hawk-like plot. The king's desire to see Rama's installation as the prince regent of the Ayodhya represent a lovely grove, and the joy that pervaded everywhere stood for a host of the charming birds. Queen Kaikeyi, who resembles the Bhila woman, sought to release a fairest falcon in the form of the perishing words, was 13 for the 30 days recitation. ShriRam, 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 ShriRam.